Good day, everybody. Dave Walker here with the B2SMB Institute. And, in the spirit of recognizing and really understanding the playbooks of our BEST2SMB award nominees, I am really pleased to welcome Raju from Zoho here to talk to us about this amazing company that is so well recognized by so many of your peers in the B2SMB space. Welcome, Raju.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for inviting me.
You have the wonderful title of, I think it's probably my favorite title, the title of Chief Evangelist for Zoho. So I know no one can speak better to what Zoho is all about, but why don't you just give us a quick background on you, on the company, on the products that you sell. Tell us the story.
Certainly, yeah. I've been with the company now about 21 years. Before it was called Zoho, and this is the norm, by the way. So a lot of people stick around with the company, and we have gone through various incarnations. So the products changed, the markets changed, the size of the company changed, but people didn't change, values didn't change, philosophy didn't change. So there are some things that are very static, but there are some things that changed year after year. When we got started, we didn't know how to create products. We were doing developer APIs, serving the telecom and optical market out there. And then we got into serving the service providers, and then we got into serving the enterprises, and then now serving the SMBs. All of these in the last, say, 24 years, you've seen a lot of ups and downs, various industries, various segments, in various regions. But there are a few things that were intact, which is the way we operate business, the way, we do things, and interestingly, the same set of people that have been along with the entire ride. So I'm one among hundreds of such people who have been doing this for 20 plus years.
That's amazing. And it's an incredibly large portfolio of products and services that you now offer to small business. What are, for those who don't know, what are they? What are the things that you provide to small business?
Sure. We started with a simple goal of creating tools we ourselves need and can use to run our business. And we started with an email solution, a CRM solution, and we kept going. And 15 years into this SMB offering, we have close to 50 applications, because as a business, we started growing and our needs started growing. So we said, eat our own dog food. So keep churning the applications that we can use. And we felt like if about 9,000 employee company is able to run our entire business on Zoho, we believe many small businesses, can. And that's the fundamental idea. We actually create the applications we ourselves use, and our business, be it our accounting system or our CRM system or whatnot, all of these applications run on our own applications, our own platform. So it's an end-to-end application suite for small businesses where they can run their entire business on Zoho. The idea is, when you run a business, we have enough things to worry about. Do you really have to worry about software and 10 different applications and how they work? Can software be like the utility, like the water or the electricity? You just pay by usage, and it doesn't, basically break your bank, and you just pay by usage, and that's the fundamental concept.
In the process of getting to 50 different products and services, have small businesses embraced the idea of kind of the one solution provider that does many things? Have you found that, or is it they really kind of think the way that a lot of folks do, which is really, let me just take it an application at a time that does this particular thing really well. I'll buy this over here and that over there. Which do you think is their preference ultimately?
For now, the preference is picking one at a time, and because majority of them haven't seen the advantages of the integrated suite. But as a vendor, we have seen it and we understand where the market is going and how the benefits of it. So we guide them and lead them into it. Just to give you another example, back in 2006 and 7, small business did not think cloud software is the future either. So we had to educate them about the advantages of moving to the cloud, educate them saying, hey,
they were scared of it.
They were scared of it. And we would educate them saying, putting your data on the cloud is more secure than leaving it on your network. Just like, saving it on a bank versus, stuffing your mattress. Data is money. So you really have to trust a vendor that invests a lot of time and money securing and protecting the data, which a small business may not have. So those advantages had to be educated. There are always some early birds that really saw the advantages, some cutting edge small businesses that saw the future and jumped on it. It is always the newer businesses that are starting up that are thinking fresh and then jumping on this, while older established businesses are reluctant to change. And that always happens. And we see that even today, where small businesses are more, or they see the advantages of this model than actually mid to large enterprises today. And just like as a consumers, it's like we seem to have better technology than some of the businesses out there. And the same way, small businesses seem to have better technology than larger enterprises today. And that is the trend we are seeing.
You told me last time we talked that you, as early as January, saw what was coming because of your global footprint. And I want to understand the really specifically as the pandemic and the closures and all the unrest that's happened this year, as you've been on that journey with so many small business customers, particularly with all the different platforms and applications that you serve them. What are the things that you have seen are really transformative changes among small business as they have really tried to respond, tried to recover, tried to rebound, however you want to describe it? What are the things that you've really seen from your vantage point?
After the initial shock, what we basically saw is that digital transformation, where COVID did to digital transformation what CIOs and all the IT departments couldn't do for a decade or two, in a matter of a few months.
Yeah,
and that shift has been massive, and it's a worldwide, similar shift. It's a worldwide shift, and so number one, number of businesses that went online, basically blew up. And more importantly, the engagement went up, shot up. In our case, I think our daily active user count shot up by 30+%, and all of a sudden, and when we saw that shift, so like that, people, our customers using it, shot up, and then they're adopting it. So new application users as well as users of existing applications, all of them shot up. And then there are trends here and there depending on the use case. For example, some shot up, some significantly took a hit. Take digital marketing, for example, there is a spike there. And email and collaboration applications like Zoho Meeting, and applications like our chat is a Click, which is a communication tool. The adoption and the implement and the usage shot up significantly. On the other hand, travel related like Zoho Expense, went down. Well, the entire business travel went down. So they took a hit. So it kind of balanced out, and you can pretty much correlate it with a certain, the pandemic and how certain industries perform. Majority of the customers from our travel industry, small businesses like travel agencies, whatnot, they took a hit. A lot of them applied for our emergency subscription program, where they want to cancel the subscription or at least downgrade it, or want just a 3-month free, or things like that, which we took care. So there are these trends that can be that were clearly observed based on among the industries that were severely hit. Restaurants are among them.
So getting into more details of the playbook, I'm certain you saw there was an increased demand among small businesses to manage their relationships with their customers. What did you guys do to help small businesses do what they needed to do in these last 6 months?
Yeah, first thing we did was we realized that businesses had to go remote, number one.
Mm-hmm.
What can we do to help businesses go remote? In about 3 days, we put together a new package called Remotely. And we included about 11 different applications from email to chat to meetings to remote desktop control to word process, spreadsheet presentation, and they're about document sharing, whatnot. There are about 11 different tools. And we said, we're going to offer it for free. We said, 3 months for 3 months free. Maybe we were a lot more optimistic than that the pandemic won't go beyond 3 months. And we said it'll be free till July 1st, and then we extended it for another few months. Now we extended it till November 1st. Now we are discussing to even extend it further. So yes, so all of these applications remain free, period. They don't have to pay a dime to Zoho.
That's amazing.
So that's one. And then that is helping businesses go remote. And then there is other aspect to existing customers who have been supporting us all along, using our services, paying for now. And they were struggling. And if they are struggling, if they are not doing well, we can do well. So we have to do something. What we did was we basically offered this program called Emergency Subscription Assistance Program, where they said, just fill up a form, short form, tell us what you need, and like a subscription assistance, and then we'll accommodate that. So a lot of businesses who came in and said, okay, we are struggling, the business has gone down. So we offered them credit, say 3 months free. They don't have to pay subscription for 3 months. It varied. And some customers were very generous. They said, hey, we are struggling, but we don't need your assistance. There are other businesses that need assistance. Please help them out. But we appreciate you taking that initiative. Some customers are really, really generous, and it, that was a good positive momentum for us. And it's not just one; a lot of such customers came in, and basically made way to other businesses that really need that assistance.
That's a great story. So another track that obviously exploded, e-commerce. How did you respond to that? The explosion of e-commerce.
Certainly, we have set up some teams that would help businesses accelerate their e-commerce adoption. So it is not just selling software and say you go take care of it. We would work directly or through a partner ecosystem to help them implement it in a short period of time. And we have also partnered with various businesses. We had partnership with Amazon to accelerate in some areas, Google Shopping in some cases, some integrations here and there. So we have done a few things on the e-commerce side. We had to quickly support some new payment gateways for LATAM markets. There's several customers out there. They have a specific payment gateways. We had to do some technology and other stuff on that. But e-commerce game. So every pocket had a different thing. For example, call centers. We had, I think, 1 or 2 cases where governments were setting up call centers for COVID. And citizens would call the call center, and then they talk to an agent, and they will redirect them to the nearby center where they can get tested. We were offering software for these call centers, connecting the telephony system, and we were offering it for free, doing the implementation and getting them online. There are a lot of donations that were happening, be it PPE, be it blood work, and all of these nonprofit agencies needed some tools. So we had to quickly develop some tools, and we said worldwide, any nonprofit organization or government agencies that is doing work related to COVID, we'll offer our software for free, and we'll also offer assistance for implementing and whatnot. So like that, there are several programs we put in place. We have a long list. I don't remember a lot of those, but there are a lot of things that we had to do on that front.
So and that's fantastic. I mean, you guys have kept stepping in, to help where it's needed. Is it, as you've gone through this last 6 months, is it fairly clear to you what your product and your service needs to be as the recovery really takes shape? I mean, I don't know if that's a clear question, but it's really, has all the disruption of this last year actually presented you with a very clear roadmap of what you want to develop and do?
It gave us on the product roadmap. There are not a lot of changes. If anything, it gave us the confidence on the model itself. Helping small businesses gives the confidence that we are absolutely on the right track. And the thing that you mentioned about the suites, it basically reinforced that same thing, because it was the suites that people were interested in during COVID and not digital applications. And it reinforced that message. In terms of the model itself, the model that we had prior to COVID will likely be different from the model we have post-COVID, which means it will be more human, more local than trying to do everything. Because we cannot go to a customer and say, hey, you can run your entire business on Zoho. And if you have any problems, call the 800 number. That's not going to work. You cannot shove an 800 number to a customer and say, your entire business is now depends on us picking up the 800 number.
Right.
So if anything, the strategy evolved towards developing local people where you have a local door to knock and a neck to choke in the city that you are in, and a local team that is ready to assist you in almost every city in the country. That is the direction we wanted to move. So if anything, we reinforced the thinking that we had earlier about setting up local teams that can help businesses locally. And that accelerated the shift. But in the product set, for the most part, it is the same.
It is extremely rare for a national or an international brand, in your case, that operates on an enormous scale, to even contemplate the idea of trying to deliver a localized solution. But I think you guys are really onto something. And I think there's always existed a need that on behalf of small businesses to get the face-to-face, shoulder-to-shoulder, head-to-head kind of advice that they need, and counseling and hand-holding that they need. And a few have tried, in the context of an Office Depot, dropping a service center in the middle, or a local consultant, that opposite end of the spectrum. Very, very challenging. But I think that the reason why you guys are on the right track is I think that the recovery is going to be so localized, is it's going to present, probably more than ever, it's going to present a real geography of need. It's not going to be universal by any way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. And we call this strategy transnational localism. What it means is the ideas are going to be transnational. We're going to share ideas. All good ideas will be, because information, like you're sitting in a different city, I'm sitting in a different city, we're able to transmit ideas freely. And that's how the ideas should be. Ideas should be free. But the implementation should be local, which means the company that is there, that local thing, should benefit the local ecosystem and the local community. Because if it doesn't benefit the local community, then what's the point of that company being there? Where you have to ask the fundamental question, is that company an asset or a liability for that community? In a lot of cases, companies have become liable because they want tax incentives to whatnot, but they are not becoming an asset. Sure, they provide some incentives and whatnot, employment, but it has to be beyond that. So, which means that localism should be embedded and it has to be part of the community. And it's a simple thing. First, take care of yourself and your family and the community, and then the city, state. And that's how it has to be. If you're a global company, then everything is centralized in one place. But actually, you need to have a lot of local city or local community and local offices that are part of the local community. And that is part of the localism, and that is the direction we are headed.
That's exciting, and kudos to you. What's the DNA of Zoho?
Well, end of the day, it comes down to, Zoho, we value people, number one, right? And people value our values. It comes down to that. So it comes down to what are our values as a company. And a company can be designed in such a way that it can be good, it can be profitable, but not at an expense of something we are not comfortable. In other words, we basically say, what's the point of financial profitability if you are morally bankrupt?
Right.
So the moral compass has to be in the right place, and we have to do what is right. And to do that, we need to have a certain freedom. In order to have that freedom, we need to have that independence, and we should not have any baggage on our back. Mm-hmm. So good news is we don't have Wall Street on our back. Mm-hmm. We don't have investors on our back. We are completely bootstrapped. That means that gives us that independence to act based on our convictions, mm-hmm. not based on the pressure that is out there.
I get it. Quarterly, right?
Exactly. You're on a treadmill. You're on a quarterly treadmill. That allows us to make some decisions that a typical company may not. For example, the way we even take people, we say, we take, I think, a moral issue towards the colleges forcing students to take on debt. Mm-hmm. For example, right? And we are against it. At Zoho, we are a zero debt company. Whatever we do, it is going to be all cash. And that's how we have operated all along, and that's how we will operate. Mm-hmm. Now, and we encourage that with the employees. So we take a stance there where, it is colleges, is the debt that you get onto is worth it? Because we are putting our next generation and making them debt slaves. And is that even right? So we took a stance about early 2000s, said we are not going to mandate any college degrees for the people we hire. Mm-hmm. And then in 2004, we started, back then we called it Zoho University, where we started getting kids out of high school, and we trained them for about a year and a half. And we pay them during that. We pay them a stipend during that year and a half period. Mm-hmm. And then we hire them. And today we are proud that about 1 in every 10 employees come from Zoho University. And we are also proud of the fact that they don't have any debt. Mm-hmm. So that's one example on our take on, say, education. Mm-hmm. Similarly, more often than not, we tend to challenge conventional wisdom. Like mm-hmm. take interviews, like you try to interview someone before you hire and try to hire them, but interviews only measure interviewing skills. Mm-hmm. Because just like colleges measure test taking skills, not necessarily knowledge, right? Right. So the same way, so we basically give an opportunity to a lot of people who may not be good interviews, and we have had examples where bad interviews, excellent, they're rock stars in work. So we prioritize that. So like that, in a lot of cases, we challenge conventional wisdom. Why do you feed on the marketing front? Why do you feed bots that are collecting money instead of feeding people? So you pick between the two. So there's several elements like those where we question the conventional wisdom, and we take some stance that we think is the right thing. Because like take a privacy, for example. We have taken a strong stance for privacy against surveillance that is going on, and we removed all third-party cookies from our property.
You guys are very vocal about that.
And we have been very vocal. And part of the reason is it's not like by taking that stance, it hurt us financially, but we believe that is the right thing to do. And somebody has to do it. Somebody has to educate the market on what they are losing, because it is in nobody's interest to do that. Mm-hmm. So we have taken that stance, and we have been educating people about it. So like that, in a lot of cases, we take a certain stance, because it's not like other companies are doing wrong. I mean, they're probably sure they'll show terms and conditions out there, but it could be legally acceptable. But is it morally acceptable?
Right.
That's
right.
Look at it. So like that, there are several things, but comes down to being humane and not not financialized, but just to some extent doing business the good old way, and not being influenced by the financialized world, I would say.
It's a terrific explanation of your DNA. And I would, from the outside looking in, I would certainly confirm all of those things. But I think it is important, you acknowledging that it's the freedom of being a business, a freestanding business, not having the dependency of debt or of investors, has really given you guys the freedom. I don't know if the vast majority of companies that serve small businesses, particularly at a large scale, are publicly traded companies and do have all those constraints on them. I don't know if they can at least adopt the spirit of freedom and decision making. But I do think that at a minimum, it is probably what is most appreciated ultimately in what it manifests by the small businesses, because you can be incredibly responsive, inventive, flexible, move basically to the need, invest where you need and you want to. And that's really, I think, what small businesses are really most responsive to, is entrepreneurs like them.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And from an industry point of view, they pay too much attention to only public companies. There are good private companies out there that inspire us, and we take a lot of inspiration from that. We respect a lot, and we don't pay good attention to them. Like, take for example Mars. How many people even heard about the company? But the company, well, they make M&Ms,
right,
or Snickers and whatnot, right? They've been around 110 years and have been doing it and taking care of employees to whatnot. Or take,
and they're a multi-billion dollar
enterprise.
And while no one can see inside what their books really look like, you have to believe they're ridiculously profitable in how they do it. And it is astounding that they've managed to stay private and never give in to the temptation of, quote, cashing out.
Yeah, and that freedom gives is very important. Or take IKEA, for example, or Aldi, now among the top 5 retailers in US. They're a German company. Like for example, this weekend I was looking at replacing one of my windows. I was researching some windows, and I found 2 companies, and one is Marvin, the other one is Anderson. And I dig deep into the company. Both of them are private companies. Have been around for around 120 years in the Wisconsin-ish northern area. They are the linchpin or the anchor tenant for that town. And they've been doing it for generations, for 125 years. And in a town of, I think, around 1,700 people, but they employ 2,500 people, they become an anchor. And that is what I mean by community and all of that. So these ideas are not new. It's kind of existed. And same thing with Anderson. They've been 100+ years, and they compete with each other, but they both do well, and they both are private companies, and there are a lot of businesses and families dependent on it. So a lot of such companies exist. Even in the technology sector, there is an SAS in the Raleigh-Durham area. It's a private. It's a very good company that is in the BI space. So companies do exist, just that the market tends to think that it's only public companies that exist. But there are a lot of beautiful ideas. There are a lot of smaller businesses that execute beautifully as well. I think those should be recognized.
Well, listen, this has been fantastic, as I knew it would be. And I think it really reveals not just the tactics, not just the strategies, but really the heart and passion of what drives you guys and what makes you so successful. So I applaud you. Congratulations for nominations across multiple categories from your peers, from your 35+ leadership peers in the Institute. They recognize what you're doing. They applaud it and praise it. And I'm really happy that you got an opportunity to talk to us today and share your playbook with us.
I really appreciate you discussing this, Dave. I really like what you guys are doing. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it as well.